Chris here, and welcome to my channel. And as you can see by the setup, it's time to play Phase 10 Chooses My TBR. So if you're new to my channel, this is a TBR game that I have based on the card game Phase 10. I will link the playlist in the description below if you'd like to have a more in-depth look at the rules. I'll start by mentioning today is February 20th, and as of filming, I have 7 books left from last month's TBR, 2 of which I'm in the middle of, so I don't anticipate not finishing either of those. And because I had 4 skips and a swap/skip, there's no way I could really fail my TBR at this point. So I figured since I had the time today to film, I would do so. If something changes and I somehow manage to completely mess up and not finish my TBR, I will probably let you know about it in a vlog, since this video will probably be live before I'm sure of that. Before we get into Phase 10, I have 2 things that I need to do. The first is to tell you the nonfiction I plan to read this month, and that is Mouse by Art Spiegelman. This is a nonfiction book that is written by the son of a Holocaust survivor, and this book has currently been getting lots of attention for being banned, and it just made me want to read it and know the story, and I'm really glad that my attention was drawn to this, because one of the things I've heard about this book is that it makes people who read it uncomfortable, and all I can think of is, well, if the Holocaust doesn't make you uncomfortable, I don't understand you. So I want to say that I'm looking forward to reading this, but I mean that in the oddest way possible, because I wish it wasn't something I could read about, because I wish it had never happened. So, like, I'm excited to read it, but not because of the content, if that makes sense. Like, I hope saying I'm excited to read this book, you get what I mean by that, because, I mean, honestly, I wish nobody was ever in the position to have to write about something like this, because it never should have happened. But regardless, I am looking forward to reading this and seeing what this story is about and what happened to Art Spiegelman's father. The other thing I have to do is my series polls. So I'm going to do 3 of these. And again, just like last month, I'm going to be hoping to get them on my TBR. As for the picks from last month, I've read In Light of Luna, and I'm partway through both The Republic of Thieves and Hunted. So again, I'm anticipating finishing both of those. So let's see what this month has to bring. I believe I've got all the series I'm in the midst of, even ones I've started since the beginning of the year. So we're going to see what this month has to bring. We're going to go for this one. Set them there. This purple one. And this blue one. Now, keep in mind, some of these series I am caught up on, so then I would just draw again. And some of these series, I'm not sure if there's going to be another book, so I have them in there just in case, to remind me that I need to keep an eye on them in case a new book gets released. So let's see. Series number 1 is A Tale of Magic by Chris Colfer, which I know doesn't have any books in it because I just read the most recent one not all that long ago, because I think it came out last fall. So let's draw another one for that. And we'll go with this red one. See if we have any better luck. Ooh. Scarlet and Ivy by Sophie Cleverly. So the second book in this series is called The Whispering in the Walls. And in the first book, we're following Scarlet, who takes her sister's place when her sister disappears at this boarding school she was going to. And once there, while pretending to be her sister, she ends up finding notes from Ivy and has to kind of unravel the mystery of what really happened to her sister. I thought the first book was decent, and I am definitely down to continue the series. So that will be the first series I continue in the month of March. I pulled the purple one second, so let's see what this one is. Ooh. Front Desk by Kelly Yang. So the second book in this series is 3 Keys. And I believe in the first one, we're following a young girl who has immigrated to the States with her parents. And they're working at this hotel. And they're trying to help other people who have immigrated to the States. And they're working for a not-so-nice guy. And I believe that in that book, there were a lot of secrets. I'm trying to remember the details. I've read so many books that sometimes they blend together unless I've read multiple books in a series. But I think that's what that was about. I definitely am down to read book 2. I have access to it, so far so good. This time I've gotten 2 middle grades, which is exciting because, man, if you saw my March TBR, you knew how unhappy I was about the Republic of Thieves. Let's hope that number 3 is kind to us. The third option is... interesting. Lilac Girls by Martha Hale Kelly. So, Lilac Girls is a historical fiction set in World War II, but its sequel, Lost Roses, follows one of our characters' mothers a generation earlier, and it says we're going to follow 3 equally indomitable women from St. Petersburg to Paris under the shadow of World War I. So, I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to spoil anything for book 1, even though this is technically a prequel. But still, I don't want to spoil anything because you never know. But yeah, I'm down to read this too. It'll be nice to have a historical fiction on my TBR because I tend not to gravitate to them for whatever reason. I love historical fictions, don't get me wrong, but I for some reason tend to not snag them. Like, I just don't reach for them even though I love them. So having another historical fiction on my TBR with me having less of a say in it is not necessarily a bad thing, and is definitely one of the better things I could have pulled from this jar. So that's it for this month. I will be sticking these back in, as I don't believe any of them were the final books in their series, but at least I'm going to make some progress. So that's it for this month. Now, one more thing I need to mention is any read-alongs or book clubs or things like that, I will mention if I manage to get the book that I've picked for them on my TBR. If not, then I will mention them at the end of the video. One other thing I have to mention is that I'm taking part in 2 readathons in the month of March, the first being Middle Grade March, and the second being Greek Godathon. I will link the info for both in the description below. I will be posting my TBRs for each of those separately, so keep an eye on my channel if you'd like to see what I'm reading for those prompts. So I think that is everything. I've got my deck, my die, and my extra prompts, and I think I'm ready to dive into Phase 10 Chooses My TBR. Here's hoping it's kind to me, because as far as I know, all of my skips are in this mess. So I'm going to need it to be kind to me. So here we go. Draw number 1 is a 3. Okay, I can do a 3. That will help me fulfill my phase. And I'm going to go with a yellow 10. Let's hope I made a good choice. And the prompt for yellow 10 is animal on the cover. Well, that's easy. I'm going to use mouse because there are mice on the cover. Mice count as animals, and it means I get my nonfiction on my TBR, so I've already doubled up here. Draw number 2 is a blue 10. And the prompt for blue 10 is classic. So for this, I'm going to read Anne of Green Gables. I've never read this book before, and I have no idea what it's about, but I know it's mentioned in the Tilly and the Book Wanderer series, as I believe Anne is one of the characters that our main character interacts with, because our main character, Tilly, has the ability to book wander. And I really liked the updated modern graphic retellings of both Little Women and The Secret Garden, and I want to read the one for Anne of Green Gables, but I want to know the source material before I read the retelling, so this seems like a perfect time to stick that on my TBR. Draw number 3 is a blue 12. And the prompt for blue 12 is Stand Alone. So for this, I'm going to read We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang. This is a 5-star prediction, and we're following 29-year-old Sunday Brennan, who wakes up in a Los Angeles hospital, bruised and battered after a drunk driving accident, and she swallows her pride and goes home to her family in New York. But it's not easy. She deserted them all and her high school sweetheart 5 years before with little explanation, and they've got questions. She's determined to build her life there, even if it's not easy. But the longer she stays, the more she realizes that her family needs her as much as she needs them. But when a dangerous man from her past brings her family's pub business to the brink of financial ruin, the only way to protect the Brennans is to upend all their secrets, secrets that have damaged the family for generations and will threaten everything they know about their lives. So, like I said, as far as I know, this is a standalone. It's a 5-star prediction, and I needed to get it on my TBR anyway, so this is a perfect prompt. Draw number 4 is a green 6. And the prompt for green 6 is Instagram pic. So basically for this, I am now going to scroll through my Instagram, and the first book I see that I own is going to be the one that I read. And this could be tricky because, well, I follow a extremely eclectic mix. Ooh, okay. This could work. So this is technically a sponsored post, but if you can see, we have the Never After, which is a book I have wanted to read. So it is actually called The 13th Fairy, and it is part of the Never After series, but it is a book that I have for a secret TBR, so I'm not going to say much more about it, but I'm going to use that for this because it was the first book I came across on my Instagram that I wanted to read, and since it's on a TBR, even though I don't own it, I'm going to go with it, and even though it's a sponsored post, because otherwise I might be scrolling here for a long time because, like I said, I follow quite the eclectic mix of Instagram accounts. Draw number 5 is a red 8. And the prompt for red 8 is same genre as my last 5-star. This essentially means that I need to read a book that fits the same genre as the last book I gave 5 stars to. I'm pretty sure that's going to be fantasy. Let's see. What was the last book I rated 5 stars? Let's go to my book tracker, and I think I know what it is, but I want to double check because it's possible I'm forgetting something. The last book I gave 5 stars to is The Name of All Things. So since I need to read a book that is a fantasy because the last book I gave 5 stars to was The Name of All Things, I think I'll go with The Memory of Souls by Jen Lyons, which is the sequel to The Name of All Things. I have given both books in this series 5 stars. I am absolutely loving it, so I see no reason not to hope that the role will continue, and I will be reading The Memory of Souls in March. So we're halfway through, and so far this is being really kind to me, so I'm expecting some wilds to pop up anytime now. Draw number 6. I told you. I had a feeling. Dang. Okie dokie. Draw number 6, part 2 is a blue 8. I will take it anything but a wild. And the prompt for blue 8. Nature on the cover or in the title. So for this, I'm going to read The Boundless by Kenneth Opel, and there are trees all over this cover, so there is my nature. This is one of my winter covers, so I will be going into this book blind. I know nothing about it other than that I'm guessing it might be set in winter based on the cover. So I will link my winter covers video if you would like to know more about that in the description below, but this is the book I am picking for nature on the cover. Draw number 7 is a 1. A yellow 1 to be specific. And there goes a thumbtack. Okay. And the prompt for yellow 1 is read along or readathon. That's pretty self-explanatory. I just need to read a book that is currently fulfilling a prompt for another readathon or is going to be part of a read-along I'm doing, and I am doing the Keeper Along hosted by Pris from Pris Peruses. I believe that's the new name of her channel. It used to be Pris Sprints, but she changed it. I will have her linked below. So I will be reading Everblaze by Shannon Messenger. This is the 3rd book in the Keeper of the Lost City series. I have been loving my reread of the series, and I'm so excited to refresh my memory on the details of Everblaze. Draw number 8 is a green 9. Green. Almost screwed up there and grabbed red, but I caught myself. And green 9 is prompt from a readathon you aren't taking part in. So this took me forever to find a readathon that had a prompt that I felt like I could easily fulfill and could easily find the prompts. And I picked the Ready for Spring readathon, which runs March 27th and March 28th and is hosted by Allie Byron on Twitter. I will link her Twitter in the description below. And the prompt I have chosen to go with is a book with a flower or plant on the cover. My book with a flower plant on the cover is the Dictionary of Lost Words, because there is a flower right there. I mean, these are kind of plant-like, but that is definitely a flower. It says, in this remarkable debut novel based on actual events, as a team of male scholars compiles the first Oxford English Dictionary, one of their daughters decides to collect the objectionable words they omit. I don't know anything else about it, but I believe it's a historical fiction, and I am excited to check it out. It's another historical fiction, which will hopefully break up some of the fantasy I'm planning on reading. Draw number 9 is a yellow 2. And the prompt for yellow 2 is ugly cover. So for this, I'm going to read Sabriel by Garth Nix. I'm not a huge fan of this cover. I know there are other versions of this book whose cover I like better, but I'm not a huge fan of this one. It says, ever since she was a tiny child, Sabriel has lived outside the walls of the Old Kingdom, away from the random power of free magic, and away from the dead who won't stay dead. But now her father, the mage Abhorsen, is missing, and to find him, Sabriel must cross back into that world. Though her journey begins alone, she soon finds companions. Mogget, whose seemingly harmless feline form hides a powerful and perhaps malevolent spirit. And Touchstone, a young charter mage, long imprisoned by magic, now free in body but still trapped by painful memories. With threats on all sides and only each other to trust, the three must travel deep into the Old Kingdom, toward a battle that will pit them against the true forces of life and death, and bring Sabriel face to face with her own hidden destiny. A tale of dark secrets, deep love, and dangerous magic, Sabriel introduces Garth Nix as an exceptional new talent. So this is what I'm going to be reading for this prompt, because I'm not a fan of that cover. And what is hopefully my last regular draw number 10, is a blue 1. Okay. The prompt for blue 1 is buddy read. So for this, I'm going to use one of my book club picks, because I'm technically buddy reading them with a bunch of people. And I'm going to read the second book in the Bone Ships trilogy. I don't know what it's called. Or if that's even the name of the series, I'll pop a picture up here. I really enjoyed book 1. It started off a little slow, but by the end, I was hooked and really invested, and I'm very curious to see what happens next. So that will be my pick for buddy read, because I don't have any one-on-one buddy reads planned for March, at least not as of filming, so I'm going to go with this. Okay, so now it's time to deal with this wild. I have my die. Whatever I roll is how many extra prompts I have to pull. Please be kind to me, and I've got a 2. 2 I can do, unless they're wilds. Again, the game has been really, really kind to me, so I'm nervous. Wild 1, draw 1 is a red 12. Okay, I can work with that. As long as it's not a wild, we're good. And the prompt for red 12 is Set in Another World. Okay, so for Set in Another World, I'm going to choose Stormbound by Jennifer Lynn Alvarez. This is the second book in the Guardian Herd series. They are set in the world of Anak, and we're following a young black Pegasi named Star, who is scared about his destiny because there's this whole prophecy thing where every 100 years a black Pegasi will be born, and they have the ability to gain great power, but they have no idea whether they're going to be using it for evil or good. And they come into that power on their first birthday, so his herd and the other herds of Anak want to kill him before his first birthday, and he has to kind of deal with that because he and his friends don't believe that he will turn evil, so he has to try to elude everybody and live, and that's what happens in the first book, and then this book continues on, I believe, after the events of book 1. So I'm excited because this means I get to knock out A, a book I already own, and B, a book in a series. So I'm, again, fine with that prompt. And for what is hopefully my final draw, wild draw number 2 is a blue 6. Oh, thank you. I was getting nervous. Blue 6. The prompt for Blue 6 is swap a prompt. So basically what this means is I have to draw another prompt for this because I can't use this to cover a prompt, which means I'm basically swapping this with one of the prompts on the board, but I have no idea what the prompts are. And then this will be taken out and put down here, and I will be replacing 2 prompts. So, okay, I'm going to go with a 3 or 4 just because I won't be pulling those anytime soon because I need them to complete my phase. And since we're going with March being the 3rd month, I will go with a 3. And since St. Patrick's Day is in March, I will go with a green 3. So my prompt is going to be whatever the prompt for green 3 is. And that is adult. Thank you. I will go with The Postmistress of Paris by Meg Waite Clayton. This is a historical fiction that is a 5-star prediction. And it says, the best-selling author of The Last Train to London revisits the dark early days of the German occupation in France in this haunting novel, a love story and tale of high-stakes danger and incomparable courage about a young American heiress who helps artists hunted by the Nazis escape from war-torn Europe. So, I'm excited to be reading this one, and this is the last book that is on my TBR because of Phase 10. So the other books I need to mention is Buzzwordathon. I'm still taking part in that, and the prompt for that is I believe, like a place or location in the title. And I'm going to be reading Witches of Brooklyn, because Brooklyn is a place. This is a middle grade, I believe, graphic novel. And it's a fantasy, and it says, could there really be witches in Brooklyn? Effie's answer weird. Like, really weird. Really, really, really weird. Does that mean they could be magic? Does that mean she could be magic? Life is about to get much more interesting. So, I'm excited to check this one out and see what it's all about. I've had my eye on it for a while, so I'm really excited to finally be getting to it. The other thing I have to mention is that I still plan to take part in the Lost Books Club, but I don't know what books we're reading at. If I know by filming time, I will insert a picture here of the 2 books we're going to read. One is about pirates, one is about fae. I am going to be reading the choice for the Enchanted Book Club's pick, which is Raybear. I have heard some really good things about this book, and I'm looking forward to checking that out in March. I also have Sing Unburied Sing by Jessamine Ward. This is my other booktube spin pick that I had February and March to read, so I will be reading this in March. The read-along I was doing with Stephanie's Bookverse changed a little bit because the 4th book got pushed back. So we had February and March to read The Wall of Storms. And assuming I haven't finished that by the end of February, I will be continuing that on into March. If I have, then I will be taking a month off. And then we will read book 3 in April and May, because book 4 comes out in June. And I think that's everything. Yeah, I think that is everything. So these are some of the books I'm going to be reading in the month of March. I'd love to know your thoughts on any of these books if you've read them. All of my social media, including my Discord, is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me shamrock emojis, like this video, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!